Well, thank you so much for that warm introduction, Bob. Thank you so much. I hope it goes a long way toward making some of you in the audience like me if you got hung up in traffic coming today. And I will also warn you, if Bob Plimal calls you and says, I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee at Panera, don't take the call, because it leads to much bigger things. And so, yes, Bob actually called over Thanksgiving a year and a half ago and said, I'd like to talk to you about something special. Can I buy you a cup of coffee at Panera? And I really, although on certain days of the week I don't know whether to love him or to strangle him, I will say this is the hardest I've ever worked, but it's also the best job I've ever had, Bob. And so thank you for helping me as far as putting my name in the ring there. It's great to be here. This is the second time I've helped out with the award program. Like Bob, I was amazed that this has been going for 17 years. I've watched it from a distance for 17 years. I just didn't realize how many years it's been. And I'll say it's great to be here at Marshall too. Senator Plimal has been so instrumental in helping the engineering program here at Marshall. It's been wonderful to see it blossom. But I will say I'll be a very obnoxious NC State fan when we're playing you on September 15th. And then the final thing I'll say is opening things here is that it's great to be here as part of the DOH team. That every day that goes by, I find more and more how blessed I am to be Secretary and Commissioner at DOH. Jennifer and Ryland, raise your hand. These are two of our DOH guys that are here today. They have helped out with this for years and years and years and really do their part, but it is a wonderful team we have at DOH, and I am very blessed to be a part of the team. I'm going to give brief remarks. Trish asked me to speak to you all a little bit about encouraging you to enter engineering. Now, I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to be shameless and actually urge you to think about civil engineering and then to think about transportation engineering, because we'd like to hire you for the DOH. We need you. But what I want to do is sort of talk at all levels there. The first question I'd like to ask is, how many of you in the room have a family member who's an engineer? Raise your hand. All right, well, I will tell you that I didn't. I do have two sons that are both engineers now, my son Clint and my son Trent. Both of them are doing great with engineering, but when I was your age, I did not have anyone in my family that was an engineer. I was a preacher's kid, and actually that led me to get in a lot of trouble as a kid, but it didn't have any leaning toward engineering. I was good in math and science, and I like to build things. And so what I will tell you is the stuff that you're doing here today, when you look back, when you have kids of your own, you'll find out that it's remarkable what these type of events do. For me, the first thing that really started pointing me in the direction of engineering was a Boy Scout merit badge in engineering. And I remember thinking, this is pretty cool, but what you find is these experiences you have, like what you've done here today, which are fun, you actually learn a lot from it, you form relationships. But you look back 30 or 40 years later and you say, wow, that really sort of put me where I'm at. That got me started and really started rolling into something that's turned out to be remarkable. And that's been the case for me. I have a saying, and I'm pretty sure it's mine, I don't think I stole it from anyone, that your life is a collection of your stories, and the better your stories, the better your life. And the reason I like that statement is I encourage you to really focus on creating good stories. Like, you've got a good story with what you've done this weekend. And what you'll find is if you really focus, I think, on having lots of those adventures and good stories like that, you'll find out that when you look back on your life, you'll say, this has been very rewarding, it's been a great thing. And I will tell you, if you decide to get into engineering, you'll have that opportunity. You'll have the opportunity to grow, to learn, to have adventures, to travel. And I thought I would tell you just a little bit about the things I've done in my career. I grew up in a small town in the mountains of North Carolina, West Jefferson, North Carolina, which is up near Boone. A tiny little town like Mayberry. There really wasn't very much opportunity when I left in 1977 and left to go off to North Carolina State. That, interestingly enough, although I graduated in 1980, I started my professional career on May 15th, 1978. So just 3 days from now, I will have been working in engineering for 40 years. But the sort of things I've done have been really fun. I've learned, I've grown, I've got a chance to travel. So I'm just going to quickly tick through what some of these things were. I started in North Carolina. I was a very junior engineer, sort of followed engineers around and saw some of the stuff they did. That particular introductory assignment was a little bit dry, but I still look back and realized I learned stuff there. Now, importantly, the second assignment that I had was in Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia, working with the Georgia DOT, designing bridge waterway openings. You have to make sure if you put a new bridge in or if you replace a bridge that you're not making flooding happen upstream, not making flooding happen downstream, and that you're taking care of the stream itself as you actually build over it. So that was very interesting. Now, I'll tell you another byproduct that you have with engineering and with all this adventure I'm talking about is I met a young woman running there in Atlanta who is with me tonight, 36 years later. She's the mother of our children. Happy Mother's Day. So she's been traveling with me on this same adventure. So you get to meet lots of neat people. And in my case, my wife Mary is here. And we do have a third child who, although she's not an engineer, just graduated from the University of Kentucky last Sunday. And although I wasn't able to get the engineering thing to stick, I think I did get the adventure thing to stick because she's, I think, going to be the most adventuresome of all three of our kids. Anyway, for Georgia, I went and spent a year in Texas, in Fort Worth, actually working as a construction inspector, helping to build bridges in downtown Fort Worth, kind of a really bad part of town, but really an interesting summer to be spent there. From there, Mary and I moved to California. I worked in San Francisco. The position I had was the regional hydraulic engineer. All that work I'd done learning about bridges and waterways, I then was responsible for the US DOT for working with California Transportation Department, Nevada, and Arizona on all this stuff I talked about with highway drainage. I think the most interesting assignment there was you wouldn't think that you would have to worry about flood control in the desert, but you do. It doesn't rain very often, but when it rains, it just knocks your socks off. So one of the biggest drainage systems for the interstate in the whole country is in Phoenix, Arizona. 2 mile-long, 20-foot diameter tunnels that carry water from the Papago Freeway down to the Salt River, and it was remarkably a remarkable project to have and to see all the time when it's hot and dry out there, but to realize that you really have to take care of this stuff when it happens. From there, I moved on to Ohio, to Columbus, Ohio. I was the field engineer for the US DOT and Federal Highway right across the river. I had the Chillicothe and Marietta districts there. One of the projects I worked on back in the mid-1980s was the Chesapeake Bypass, which is actually starting to have some additional work getting ready to happen over there in Ohio soon. The next job I went was back to Georgia, to Atlanta. We actually, in that particular assignment, focused on traffic management. How do you keep traffic flowing in work zones? Hopefully we've learned some stuff that I know if some of you got caught in traffic, I just would tell you it could be worse, that if you did it the way it used to be done back in the 80s, it would have been worse. But we're going to get through that. The traffic will eventually subside, but as the senator said, when you've gone this long without working on stuff, it actually does have some pain with it when you're working on it, but it will get better, I promise. Anyway, traffic management. At that point, I started deciding to move up into management, so Mary and I moved to Columbia, South Carolina. I was the head of a small engineering team for US DOT. Eventually, after a couple of years there, moved to Pennsylvania, where I was the #2 person in charge of the whole office, and so that meant accountants, that meant engineers, that meant environmental scientists. You find out that there's a lot of other disciplines besides just engineering as far as how you take care of transportation. Bob mentioned the Big Dig up in Boston. Many of you won't know what that project is because so many years have gone by, but basically it was taking all the interstate in Boston and putting it underground in tunnels. It's the most remarkable highway project in the country. It's also the most expensive and the most controversial highway project in the history of the United States. But what I will say is the 3 years I spent there, I saw world-class engineering. I saw the political side of highways, which is interesting and hard, but you grow from it. And then from there, finally, I landed in West Virginia, where I was the head of the Federal Highway Office for the last 17 years. and actually was involved pretty much in every major transportation project that's been built in West Virginia for the last 17 years. And so then I tried to retire until I took the telephone call from Bob about going and getting that cup of coffee. And since then, I've had the hardest job that I've ever had the last 15 months, but it's also the most gratifying job that I've ever had. And that's because Governor Justice has had this program about let's have transportation be a way that we kickstart the economy. It really makes you proud of what you do in transportation. Again, I'm going to put a shameless plug in that I want all of you all to sign up for engineering. If you want to sign up for civil engineering, particularly transportation engineering, you get a chance to really do neat stuff. And in the case of what we're doing now, over the next 5 or 6 or 7 years, we will change our state. We will create thousands and thousands of jobs. I think our state can have a recovery that it wouldn't have had if we'd stayed on the same course we were on. So anyway, let me end here by saying that if you sign up as an engineer, it's exciting. You have this adventure thing going on. You might get rich. You probably won't. But you'll always be comfortable. That's the other thing. As an engineer, you'll always, your work will be in demand, I think. You'll find that you'll always live a comfortable life. But then here to me is the most important thing, and I want to end with this. My dad was a Presbyterian minister, and even though I acted up when I was a kid, I did listen to him a little bit. And he always said you have to find something in life that you really devote yourself, that gives your life meaning, and it needs to be more than just about you. And so what I have found is the folks at DOH, the remarkable folks at DOH, the folks like Senator Pleimel, who's devoted themselves to transportation, you're really doing something that helps everybody. Engineering in general, you'll always find you help people. And ultimately, when the day is done, you'll find it makes a major difference in people's lives. What I like about what we do in transportation is we either save lives or we make lives better. So with that, I will say, let the adventure begin. I hope you all do consider engineering as something in your future. You'll have fun with it, you'll grow, you'll learn, and ultimately when you look back, you'll remember this as one of the best experiences of your life. So thank you.
Thank you again, Secretary Smith. All right, so let's get into some presentation of some awards. Right, gets perked up a little. First off, I want to say a few words about our judges and our volunteers. So, first off, if you were a judge or volunteer or had any part in steering this event, I'd like you to stand up and be recognized. I keep going through the list of folks. You know, without these folks, this event wouldn't happen. But that's definitely true of our judges and volunteers. A lot of these folks put a lot of time and energy, a lot of their personal time and energy into making this event a success. And so I want to extend also just a personal thanks to all these folks, you know, my students, my colleagues and whatnot for making this event such a rousing success. And with that, I do want to recognize one volunteer in particular as our Volunteer of the Year. And I can tell you, this one was a tough one to figure out, you know, which volunteer stood out. 'Cause even saying that, I mean, they all did such an absolutely fantastic job. Everybody was courteous and kind and willing to help, but we did think of one that was especially there and willing to do multiple things throughout the day, and it was one of our students who was assisting with the live stream event for the day, and she was there for the balsa portion of the contest and was basically there holding up the iPad and filming all of the bridges that I broke for everybody today. But she was not even just doing that, just being there around, helping everybody get from one place to another, and really just a critical cog of today's event. So I'd like to recognize our Volunteer of the Year, Ms. Sarah Wilson. before we get into the, student awards for those, a couple other things we need to get through and discuss. I want to invite Jennifer Dooley to the stage, to talk about sibling and parent recognitions.
All right, before I get started on the siblings and parents and teachers, I want to take a moment to remind you all that when you leave here tonight, you're going to be heading back through some of our work zones. We've got the orange caution cones in all of your bags for all of the students, and the state has to be turned orange. It's necessary, it's important. We have tons of work to do on roads, and we don't want our cars all torn up, and we want to be able to get where we're going safe. And we definitely want our bridges not to do what your Volsa bridges did today. Thanks, Greg. Right? But work zone safety truly is everyone's responsibility. And about 3 weeks ago, a younger cousin of mine was driving through one of our work zones and was hit by a driver, and his passenger was killed instantly. My cousin lived 5 days and passed away. Last Saturday would have been his 20th birthday. So think about my cousin Donovan, who wanted to be an art student. He did a mural at Graziano's in Dunbar and was just beginning to find himself as an artist. So when you drive through work zones, take that message with you wherever you go. It's your responsibility. And you're not driving yet, a lot of you. But as you grow up, when you're talking to somebody, when you're around anybody, work zone safety comes first, and getting there safe is more important than anything else that you could have going on. You will see the orange cones all over. You'll see the orange signs and the billboards and the just slow down messages. We're doing what we can to make sure that we all stay safe. But take that with you. You're going to be tired when you leave here today, so think about that when you drive through the work zone. All right, Benji Simpson, are you in the back?
Over here.
Okay. Guys, this is Benji Simpson from Bridgewalk. And, Bridgewalk down at New River Gorge Bridge in Fayetteville. Benji has been a partner with us for this contest for years and years. And he's always been a big enthusiast of making sure that all of our young West Virginians get to see the bridge, not just tourists coming through, but our local people. So when we hand out your prizes today, you're gonna get a little slip of paper, and it's gonna say you've got a tour up to 4 people on the New River Gorge Bridge, and that's compliments of Benji. And that is one of the most beautiful sights you'll ever see, whether you go in the fog, or whether you go in the snow, or whether you go at night. They have full moon walks. So that compliments of Benji Simpson. And Benji's also going to be up here when we do these traveling trophies. The Balsa for middle school and for high school first place is named after Benji Simpson. The software design portion one for high school and for middle school is named after Jimmy Riston, one of the most influential people in highways. Without him, this contest wouldn't even be anything ever. He has saved the taxpayers billions of dollars, and he's saved countless lives. So Benji will be on stage for the Balsa, and you'll have a picture taken with him. And then we'll have the Jimmy Riston Software Design Awards as well. So, all right. It's time to recognize some little siblings, and I see Bailey was the only little sibling that came last year. Usually we have tons of little siblings. So everybody who came here with your brother or your sister, and just older siblings too, everyone who came here with your brother or your sister, you got up at 4 or 5 in the morning, wherever in the state you were, you drove through all our work zones. You drove all the roads and the pretty hills, and you might have crossed the Gorge Bridge with your big sister, little sister, whatever. All siblings, please come up. We'd love to have you guys keep coming back to our contest, okay? Big round of applause for the siblings. All right. Before the siblings woke up, the parents woke up. And the parents fed the cat, the dog, and maybe all 6 of the other cats, and maybe some horses or donkeys or goats or whatever. You took care of everything. You made breakfast, whatever, before you got everybody on the road. So we are going to recognize all of the parents, and today, we got Mother's Day coming up. So we'll also have a little special thing here in a moment for mothers and aunts and those people in our
Couple of volunteers to pass out flowers.
we've got Mother's Day carnations coming around. Because you gave up your Mother's Day weekend, and you did that last year too.
If we could have all the mothers stand up.
All the mothers. Stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up, she says. I'd like to ask all of our teachers who are here today to come up on the stage. Every teacher. All right. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. First of all, I want to take a moment to note that we have some teachers who have actually brought students to this contest every year for more than 10 years. Raise your hand, teachers, if you brought students to the finals every year for more than 10 years. Miss Barbara McElwain, how many years have you come to this final?
15.
15 years. And I want to point out something. Her daughter Summer is 17 right now. Summer has been coming to the contest since she was not a little sibling, but a little teacher's daughter. And she's a senior in high school now. She almost missed her prom last year to come here. So I do want to point that out as well. Teresa, how many years have you been?
I think 15.
Miss Teresa Barton has also been coming to the contest for 15 years.
As the first girl winner.
and she had the first girl winner, and that's something that's, over the last 17 years, look around. I mean, you know, it's no big deal that half of you guys are girls. I mean, it used to be. It was hard to begin with. There was this silly idea that only boys could be engineers or something, and so Ms. Teresa Barton helped us disprove that. So, big round of applause for these two long-term teachers. And in addition to being outstanding teachers, we bought you dinner for that. I mean, at least, it's the least we can do. All of our teachers who are here tonight are going to get an Outstanding Teacher Award because this is a Saturday night, and, you know, where else could you be? I mean, you could be getting ready for Mother's Day. You could be anywhere. So we really appreciate you taking the time, waking up in the morning early, going through, helping your son or daughter build a balsa bridge. You know, encouraging them to practice with the software. When, even though they really want to be here and they really want to win the money, they may not necessarily have wanted to practice. So we really appreciate that. We have one other award, the Teacher of the Year Award. It's this nice little apple trophy. It's like part of a little apple tree stump. This teacher has an after-school balsa and design club. He not only brings in his own students, but invites his whole school. And he has been meticulous with helping students understand the concepts. And so Alex Riston. He's limping because he's an excellent teacher. I'll actually save that story if he wants to tell you later, you know, but that's...
Bad basketball player.
Yeah, if he wasn't an outstanding teacher, he would be just, you know, prancing around, whatever, but it's true. He got hurt helping your students, so. With that, everybody give your teachers a great big round of applause.
Had a real bad part there.
All right, every year we do a DOT on the dot, and they do another award as well, which we'll get to here shortly. But the DOT on the dot award, we watch throughout the day, and we see what kind of competitors you are. We see what impresses us. We check, you know, your spirit, what you do to help others. The DOT on the dot award this year goes to a young man who has a firm grip of music appreciation. When we were sitting out listening to the bandwagon play, he had his camera out filming. You know, his foot was tapping the whole time, he was moving the whole time. So Ryan Miller, DOT on the dot. He likes Bob Dylan, he likes Fleetwood Mac, he likes Janis Joplin, he likes bluegrass. Awesome music appreciation.
Thank you.
As Jennifer said, they do on the dot or on the DOT, and we do ATI in your eye. So just like your mom would say, we have our eye on you all day. We were watching all of the students and parents and siblings and teachers. So there was one person in particular that stuck out to me, and it ended up being a sibling. And we had the scientists come, so just shameless plug for that. His name was Joe Hamden. He does Marshall University's summer science camps. So if you have fun with him today, that's definitely something to check out. He has a great website where you can learn about all the camps if you're from the Huntington area. But there's one student who just dived right in. He was really engaged and involved in doing all of the experiments, and the scientists even had some special helpers and volunteers that he brought with him. But there was a sibling who ran, and he got beakers, and he was like, oh, I'll go get you more water throughout the day, and was really helping him out. So I just wanted to recognize Robert Quick.
Good evening, folks. Before I do the Software Design Awards, I'd like to take care of a special recognition award. During the times here in highways over the past year with Roads to Prosperity and all kind of special programs and projects going on, there were lots of times that Jimmy and I really didn't have a lot of opportunity to participate in a whole lot of the committee meetings and in a whole lot of the activities involved as part of the committee. So anyway, we relied a lot on this special person, and that's why it's called the Special Recognition Award, and it's given to Miss Jennifer Dooley because she picked up a lot of slack, and she has built a lot of partnerships and built a lot of bridges over the past year to help make this contest successful. So Jennifer, come on up.
It's fruit, we can eat it on the way home.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay. Jennifer, come on back to the stage. Tom, Bob, come on up. In the software competition today, it was very, very close, very, very tight. Let's do the middle school first. From the middle school side, we have Bridge Billy from John Adams Middle School. Come on up. Matthew McKinney, Ray Curtis. The next one is from Team Mrs. Lee's Homeroom Gifted, Romney Middle School, Ryan Quick and Gideon Liberati. Come on up. Team Panda Bridges from St. Francis de Sales, Colette Linden and Ashton Evans. The Lone Ranger, Pei Mayte, Herkin Middle School, Miss Paisley Taylor. guy from Horseman Middle School, Mr. Emmett Lynch. Team Sensational, back for the win from Mountain Ridge Middle School, Charity Lundberg and Lillian Harrison. Drum roll, please. Team 7 Salamanders. Frankfort Middle School. Garrett Ferguson and Jonathan Miller. Total cost of $412,000 for $12,365. From Whiteview Middle School, Bob Camilde, Justin Lester, and Kennedy Sprague, with a total cost of $410,047.28. Drum roll again, this is for the trophy. For the fees. Best Bridges, St. Francis de Sales, Samuel Peck and Lonnie Lester for the winning. Total cost of $408,624.84.
One of these trophies is gonna go to their classroom teacher and one is gonna go to their principal. I will point out that we just picked those trophies up from St. Francis de Sales like a couple weeks ago and they're going back to that school. So give their teacher and principal a round of applause as well.
You think you're gonna get them from that lady? You better think again. It's kind of funny, my job was to go back and actually take care of those trophies. You know, giving them out's one thing, getting them back is something else. Anyway, best be careful. Okay, high school round participants. Advanced Building Corporation from St. Albans High School. Let them up. Bridges Are Us, again, St. Albans High School. Tanner Ekstrom, Levi Over One more. You've heard of a fidget spinner? Let's change it to a Bridget spinner. St. Albans High School. Like I said, yummy. Cool name pending. St. Albans High School. Had it happy name. Duckman Destroyers, St. Albans High School, Taylor Smith and Drew Lane. Dudes Doing Bridges, St. Albans High School, Lindsey Jarvis and Maddie Wright. We won't bite too hard. Eight Rivers Lone Wolf from Pocahontas County High School, Jacob Heiss. He must not be in attendance. Experiment 626, Greenbrier East High School, Emily McElwain. Is it Jerry or Jari Bones? Whiteview High School, Aaron Craig and Brandon Lester. JM Designs, Tays Valley Christian School, Mason Shiflett and Justin Sue. nomination. From George Washington High School, Kalia Yang. From Bluegrass to R&B, Shady Spring High School, Rachel Fama, Dallas Alabama. Sign me up. Greenberry High School, Tracy Cornelius. SkyMax from Sherman High School, Thomas Tincher III. SkyMax to Skyward, Woodrow Wilson High School, Nicholas Knoll and Nathan Knoll. Tank Hunter, Pocahontas County High School, Hunter Tankersley. Hunter here. TEAM, Team St. Albans High School, Connor Manning. Turtle Squad version 4, Independence High School, Hunter Hall, Justin Dargo. We don't burn bridges, we build bridges. From St. Albans High School, Emily Thomas, Rachel Sniper. Y equals MX plus B. From Pikeview High School, Calvin Cole. Drum roll, please. In third place. Peer pressure. Greenbrier East High School, Savannah Michael, Taylor Sickley, with a combined total cost of $387,630.57. Back to the drums in second place. Me, myself, and I from Pocahontas County High School, Laura Latorick, for a total cost of $386,752.22. And the moment we've all been waiting for. First place high school, drums one more time, goes to Imagineer, Greenbrier East High School in Summer McElwain, with a combined total cost of $380,826.82.
All right. Let's talk about those balsa bridges. All right. So I'm going to present our balsa bridge awards for today. I'm also going to invite Mr. Benji Simpson to do our award presentations. We're going to start off with the middle school again. We'll go through our participants and then our winners and sort of the same deals as we just did. So let's get this started. Starting with middle school final round participants, 7 salamanders from Frankfort Middle School, Garrett Ferguson and Jonathan Lewis. Next up from John Adams Middle School, Bridgeville, Maximus Yang and Arena Cow. Next up, Mrs. Lee's Homeroom Gifted from Romney Middle School, Ryan Quick and Gittens Liberati. Next up, from St. Francis de Sales, Panda Bridges, Colette Lindley and Ashton Evans. Right over here. There you go. There you go. Next up, from Horseman Middle School, Some Guy, Emmett Lynch. Next up, from Mountain Ridge Middle School, Tim Sensational, back for the win, Charity Lundberg and Lillian Harrison. All right. Drum roll. Now, you had one thing I did want to mention before I show you this. So, we judge our winners based off strength to weight ratio. So to give you kind of an idea, if that comes out to be 100, for instance, that means that bridge was able to hold up about 100 times its own weight before it failed. When you see some of these numbers, I think you're going to be amazed and really proud of what these kids were able to accomplish. So with that, third place from St. Francis de Sales, Best Bridges, Samuel Peck and Dominic Raylene. Strength to weight ratio 408.9. Second place. From Hurricane Middle, Peg Hay Mayte, Paisley Tabor. Strength to weight ratio 440.6.
We're good.
All right, and our first place, drum roll, with a strength to weight ratio of 692.4, Bob can build it from Pikeview Middle School. Congratulations. Now, our high school final round participants. First up, Advanced Building Corporation from St. Albans High, Fletcher Mutt. Next up, from St. Albans High School, Bridges R Us, Tanner Ekstrom and Levi Olberg Vargas. Next up, from St. Albans High School, Bridget Spinner, Elvazio Anayim. All right. Next up from St. Albans High, cool name pending, Haley Tagayan. Next up, Duckman Destroyers from St. Albans High, Taylor Smith and Drew Lane. Next up, Dudes Doing Bridges from St. Albans High, Lindsey Jarvis and Maddie Ray. Next up, Eight Rivers Lone Wolf from Pocahontas County High School, Jacob Heiss. Next up, Experiment 626 from Greenbrier East High School, Emily McElroy. Imagineer from Greenbrier East High School, Summer McElwain. Next up, Jerry Bones from Pikeview High School, Aaron Craig and Brandon Lester. Next up, JM Designs from Tays Valley Christian School, Mason Shiflett and Justin Sue. Next up, Peer Pressure from Greenbrier East High School, Savannah Rocker and Taylor Sickle. Next up, Puente Domination from George Washington High School, Talia Yang. All right, next up, R&B from Shady Spring High School, Rachel Plama and Bella Sackett. Next up, Sign Me Up from Greenbrier East High School, Gracie Cornelius. Next up, SkyMax, Sherman High School, Thomas Tencher III. Next up, Tank Hunter from Pocahontas County High School, Hunter Tankers League. Next up, Turtle Squad version 4 from Independence High School, Hunter Hall and Justin Yardley. Next up, we don't burn bridges, we build bridges from St. Albans High School. Emily Thomas and Rachel Snyder. Next up, Y equals MX plus B from Pike D High School. Common Goal. All right. Can I get a drum roll? These numbers, with a strength to weight ratio of 706.8, our third place winner is TKM. Second place, can we get a drum roll? With a strength to weight ratio of 750.4. Me, myself, and I from Pocahontas County High School. Are they not here? Oh, they're not here? Okay. All right. All right. First place. Can I get a drum roll? $863.3. Skyward from Woodward Wilson High School. Odd mention, this bridge was able to hold up 37.65 pounds.
Wow.
Largest float of the day. There we go. We're good. We do have one more that we'd like to recognize, and that is the bridge that was overall, and this is for middle school and high school, overall the most aesthetic. Always a little bit difficult to judge, but in the end, I think we found a really good one. This year, we found that our overall most aesthetic bridge was SkyMax Thomas Tencher III. All right. And with that, that concludes our event for today. A couple things before you go. Okay, we're going to be emailing out a link with all of today's pictures to everybody. So I know that's been asked here and there. We're going to make sure that we get that out to everybody. There was a survey done, just make sure and leave that at your table to be collected. And I do want to echo Jennifer's words. Please drive safely on the way home. Again, thank you very much for coming. We're very happy to have you here. We hope to see you next week. Thank you. What's that? I know.